It's happening. Oh, Cupcake. Hey, this is Cupcake. You did a great job. We know that, right? Hey, I'm Kelsie. Thanks for coming back to my channel. I'm doing a daily vlog. I don't really know what I'm doing. But we all know that. Blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I have a special guest. Guys, it's Daryl Moon. It's me. Daryl Moon, he is a stand-up here in Chicago. He also is a co-creator of the Open Mic web series. He also gave me this poster as a gift.
I did.
This effing guy, am I right? So Daryl, we're going to ask you some questions because in this channel we talk about creative stuff. Are you cool with that?
I'm cool with that.
Cool. So, Daryl Moon, serious questions. How did you even get involved in creating the Open Mic series? Serious question.
Well, I have known Kelsie for many years, as you know, Kelsie.
Yes.
And we traveled in the same circles for a lot of years, but do occasional shows together. And I always kind of had it in my head that I'd like to do a show with Kelsie because I feel like she's going to be famous one day, and I want to ride those coattails.
What a disappointment I am
Get
today.
in early is the key. That's my advice to other comics. Get in early. So I called and pitched in a couple of ideas that I had. And one of them was doing the open mic.
Yeah.
Where we'd be just filming different things at open mics. What we ended up making was very different than my original ideas, but that was the idea, and here we are.
Yeah. So Daryl, you came up with the idea of like, hey, let's just do a thing, let's just do a fun thing, and it kind of evolved. Like, what was that evolution process like for you, right? So you're like, I had this idea, and then it shifted. Because as stand-up comedians, it's kind of hard sometimes. We're used to working alone, right?
Right, and I underestimated what it was to become part of a Kelsie Huff operation. I thought, we'll write some scripts and do some things. And Kelsie said, what if
let's take over the world?
So, I mean, obviously what we made was much, much better than I had in mind, what I would have done originally, so I'm very happy about it.
Well, you say better, but I feel like part of our dynamic is like you had like and I hope this isn't insulting, but you had like a sketch. I wanted to work on bits. I wanted to do like characters that were in open mics. I wanted to highlight these characters. And then it evolved into this like relationship of friends kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, my original idea was just that we would have wacky episodes. It'd be a couple minutes long each. And it would just highlight the different people you see in an open mic. Yeah. The guy who's been doing the same 5-minute act for 12 years.
Right. We see you.
Right. The person who gets drunk and throws up all the time at the set. Whatever.
We smell you.
Yes. Sadly, yes. So that was the idea. And instead, over the course of writing it, it became more of a story about two people. One, an underrated comic genius named Kelsie. And
I spit everywhere. Sick. Anywho.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no editing, so staying in, spit.
Right. It's fine. I don't mind being covered in spit from people.
There's no escape. I've locked that door.
Plus, I'm used to the violence because on set, Kelsie used to occasionally assault me. She didn't mean to.
I did. It was bad.
A scratched cornea is a scratched cornea. It doesn't matter what was.
First day on set, I just scratched your eye. I don't even know why. Was I reaching for something, or was I kind of going, Daryl?
It was like flicking me away, like because I was all in your face, and you were supposed to flick me away and right in the eye. Now. I didn't stop till he yelled cut, because I'm a professional.
What a professional!
That's right. According to the doctor's report, that's what caused the serious trauma, was not immediately ceasing.
You can't see. He has an invisible patch in one eye. Modern science.
I'm overstating this slightly. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, man, it's the best. Okay, so speaking of challenges, besides almost being blinded by this idiot, what were some of the challenges that you found either like in the writing process and the set, something that you maybe didn't notice, but it was a little bit of a challenge. And then what were some wins, like some unexpected like joys that happened? Well, let's start with the bad stuff.
Okay, I'll start with the bad stuff. All right. I mean,
that's your comfy spot, right?
Right. That's where I feel at home. Let's really dive into the pain.
Yeah, let's talk about how garbage I feel.
Now, what I'll do, though, is I'll throw occasional jokes in to make it seem like I'm actually a really happy person.
Yeah. What a trickster.
So, no, I mean, it's hard to say what all... I mean, obviously, the process was a lot harder than I'd anticipated. Really getting in... And the characters are named Kelsie, Huff, and Daryl Moon. So, obviously, this isn't... I mean, it's not completely realistic, but it's not as much fiction. As time went on through rewrites, the characters became more actually us.
Yeah. I think like heightened you're totally right. Like heightened virgins. Spoiler alert, we're virgins in the show.
But I'm not a kid.
Yeah, stork. Who's a stork?
Stork. All right.
But yeah, it was definitely we write what we know, right? So there was definitely like our own pains and struggles and things that happened. Yeah.
Right. And, it was finding finding the voice, kind of whatever you want to say, was finding the character eventually became, ourselves to a degree. And finding the vulnerability isn't easy or fun. You know, like the one episode where my character has a complete life meltdown. It felt a little real at moments.
Yeah,
and it was, that was a little hard. And probably my biggest thing that was disappointing for me in filming it was my favorite line got cut.
Oh no! In your rant?
No, and it was the episode where it's at the apartment and where you're like the
bread cutting.
During the bread cutting, the never-ending bread cutting. God, I wish you could have seen
the original script was just like cuts bread, crunch bread. Listen, we like carbs.
Oh my God! And when we were watching the rough footage, we were like, "Oh my!" It just never stops. So much.
Poor Jason and all the editing. He had to edit out all the cutting. Anyway, so there was a moment.
There was a line that your character said, something about you calling me out on my bull crap, and this is me calling you, whatever it was, that line I felt like was so perfect for the characters. It said how they were friends before. I felt like that gave so much depth. And Jason watched it and went, nah, not working, click. It was gone.
Yeah.
Which is great. That's what editing is for. You find that stuff, and anytime you write, that happens.
Yeah, but I think what you're talking about is I think probably universal for some writers is sometimes you got to kill your babies even if you love them and they're not, for whatever reason they don't work. That is hard to be I have to say goodbye to you.
Right. And that's why it's nice to have an editor, because the editor don't give no crap about your babies. The editor goes, nope, baby gone.
Yeah. And
you
it still
realize
works.
It's
Yeah, it still works. But yeah, those are hard for sure. Yeah. So what about surprises? So some of the writing was difficult to I don't know if I'm putting words in your mouth, but let go of some control and let things go pretty hard. Anything else in challenging on set or anything like that? Or was it all wins, celebration wins?
Well, I mean, we were wrangling up comedians at 5 a.m. on the weekends. Yeah. So the fact that everyone showed up was kind of a win. Yeah. I did not expect that. But, it was...
We have real low standards for you, Dirk.
We do. As a comic, I can say they're justified. But the...
Smooches, we love you.
Yes. But, I mean, really, it was exciting. Being on set with that many comics, people underestimate how good of natural actors comedians are. Yeah,
because we were kind of concerned about that. We had auditions and we were we have some people in mind of what we want to do, but what if they're shit at it? Yeah. And they brought it.
Yeah, we originally, because Chicago's got a ton of great actors and underrepresented and so available for projects. Kind of, same way with comics really is. Yeah. So some of the industry stuff isn't there, so there's people that have time in their schedule. So we talked about possibly actors that we knew having them come in, but we really wanted it to be a stand-up comedy, just a feature of comedians in Chicago.
Yeah, and highlighting them, you know, highlighting look at all these people who still stick around and they're still in Chicago, and also that idea of being in Chicago as a comic and feeling like a failure. I think they could tap into that. We're hustling, we're struggling, we're doing all these things, but we're not in New York, we're not in LA, we're not, in London, we're not where the industry is. And although actors, I'm sure, could tap into that, the stand-ups really, I think, can feel that.
Right.
They can really feel the failure, Daryl.
Well, in most comics in Chicago, the question you get from people is, oh, you're pretty good.
When are you
going to LA?
Yeah. When are you leaving?
Well, I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh, well, all right.
Well, because you're a guy who decided, you've been here for a while. And you've decided you're not leaving.
Yeah. No, right? I for various reasons. I mean, don't get me wrong. If the right phone call came in,
sure.
I'd beat feet. Sure, why not? Pay me $1 million for some ridiculous nonsense?
Yeah.
I'm there, but...
All of a sudden your phone's bring Judd Apatow. Oh, that's how that works?
Yes, I assume.
You just put it out into the universe, and Judd Apatow calls you.
Judd's a subscriber, right?
Oh, yeah. One of my 132 subscribers.
Nice. Okay, well... Mr. Apatow, I'm a fan of your work. I'm going to need a per diem.
You're such a doofus. But you decided, if the call comes, cool. But if not, you're staying here.
No, when I moved to Chicago, and I grew up my dad was in the Army, so I grew up all over the world. And when I moved to Chicago, within a year, I want to say, I knew, I was like, I'm home.
Yeah.
I'd moved my whole life, and at one point, I realized I had moved 12 times in 10 years. So that was as an adult. That wasn't as a kid. But I just moved a lot. Moving apartments, moving all over the place. And I love Chicago. I love this place.
Yeah. It's so funny that you mentioned the word home, because that's how I feel as well. I maybe didn't have the most stable... I didn't move around, but I didn't have a stable time as a kid. And there's this idea of I feel like Chicago is a place people connect to a great deal. And I don't know who originally told me this. It's not original thought, but like people get tattoos of this flag here. Mm-hmm. And most people don't even give a shit about their city flag. But people are like, but there's this idea of like being in the comedy industry where you're expected to leave. And you're like, why do I have to leave my home? I like it here. Right. And I think there's this idea of like, well, if you don't leave, you're a failure, which I think connects a lot to that show. Yeah. Because you do feel, I mean, I don't want to project my feelings onto you, but there is this idea of like, I am creating my own work. I'm getting paid for gigs. And I'm still not considered successful because I live here and I'm not like hustling enough.
I have a good friend of mine who's a road dog comic, and he books all of his own stuff. 14 years ago when he started doing this, or however much longer ago it was, 16, 18 years ago, he would just cold call bars. Yeah. And just, hey, you ever thought about doing a comedy show? He would go to these shows, and they were rough at first. And I would occasionally go with him on these, and some of them were great. Some of them were just awful. And he spent a lot of time developing his sales technique for getting into places. And he books a lot of rooms now. And he can curate. He can do what he wants to do. He doesn't have to do what anyone else wants to do. And comics gave him a hard time for a long time about it. Yeah. And now comics call him wanting work because they know he's got good rooms. They know what he's doing, which is and he's a big proponent of do your own thing.
Do your own thing.
You want to do a thing? I did the documentary I filmed a few years ago. 12 years ago now.
We can put the link down below.
Oh, yeah. To Road Dogs is the name of the comic. Yeah. Or name of the documentary. And it was just me following around my comic buddies who do these small shows in small towns. Not small shows, but shows in small towns. And it was just, let's do our own thing. We did our own documentary. Yeah. And it was fun. Like, it was a really good time. It broke even. So it was a financial success in the film world. And one of the guys was opening for Dave Attell at Penguins Comedy Club in Cedar Rapids. Yeah. And he, in between shows, he was like, hey, my buddy's here at film. We're just doing stuff in the background. Can he come in? And I came in and we were talking, and Dave was like, that's so great. He goes, I always wanted to do that crap, but now with Hollywood, they won't ever let me go into small towns. He wanted to take Insomniac, which was huge and great back in the day. He wanted to go to Billings, Montana. They wouldn't let him do it because it was too far away from a production house. So cameras broke. They wouldn't let. He's like, this is how you do it. He goes, you do your own thing. No one can tell you what to do.
That's so funny because I feel it's like whatever you don't have, you're always coveting, right? Because you're like, Dave, they're telling you get to do all these things, and you la 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 la. And he's like, oh man, I wish I had the freedom to just be a guy in the road. It's funny. Like I feel like, so really just do the thing, right? Like be the creative person and do it. And if the stuff comes, awesome. If Comedy Central or our good pal Judd calls, cool, but that's not most of your life. Right. For most of us out there. Right. You're living your life. And if your home is important to you, there's no reason that you feel like you have to leave. Right? Yeah. I
mean, you prioritize. If what you want is, if you absolutely want to be a writer for TV, you have to go to LA. Right. I mean, there's a little New York. Right? Even then, I've talked to TV writers, and they've said there's work in New York, but you get it in LA. And you make the connections, and you meet the people. It's just how it is. Mm. It's not only how it is, because stuff is changing, and the internet and streaming, everything, it's all different now. That's why the Writers Guild might be on strike by the time this airs. Yeah. It's a different world now, but it's still, to a certain degree, some things you have to go places. So if that's what you want to do, if you want to be a doctor, you got to go to med school. It's just how it is. Mm-hmm. But if that's not your goal, you can go anywhere. There's no need to feel that you have to do that. So that's why we did our show. We know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah, and I think for sure, and I feel like there's this kind of vibe of this channel, and people who like watch this channel is like create your own shit. Just do it, even if it's not going to be perfect, even if it's not great. You just put it out there and learn as you go and make something, and that is success. Right. It might not get you, like we said, like the $2 billion movie deals, but it's still fulfilling, and you're still making connections, and you're still like working it out. Yeah. Listen, we know what we're doing.
Right. Granted, now some people, if someone watching this might think, well, that's not success. A 10-episode web series I don't consider success, and that's fine. If you don't, for us, it came out exactly what we wanted to do. Yeah. And that's great. I'm very proud to show it to people. Yeah. And that was what we talked about. We wanted good content that we could have on the internet and show people, and we made exactly what we wanted, and it's even better than we thought.
Yeah. So, and we had this talk too about like regrets. Like we just didn't. Or maybe this is something I talked about myself. Did we talk about this? I feel like we've had a lot of conversations about regret.
Well, Comics.
Right, comic, yeah. But like this idea of like, we just want to be proud of something and keep moving. We just want to keep moving forward and make something that we can look back on and say like, hey, I did this. Even if I didn't become like, you know, your 12-year-old you just has this one vision of what success is. Like even if I'm not like a star or whatever that is for you, right. You still did a thing with other people for nothing. I mean, these people worked for us for nothing.
Yeah.
And they showed up and they did their best work. And I'm kind of proud of that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong. It's really shitty when you feel bad because you're not successful, but you actually did do a thing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And we were talking about it earlier today. We've had comics contact us and say, if you're doing another season of the show, we want in. And I was nervous about asking comics because, you know, the producers were us and Jason the director, so that means paying for. Right. And you know, it was not super cheap. Like it wasn't Hollywood, but you know, whatever. We had an investment in it. Yeah. And I felt kind of bad asking comics to perform for us, like to show up on set and perform for free. Like generally that just feels it's antithetical to my nature.
Yeah, you want to be grateful, and you want to be paying them, and you want to feel professional, but we just didn't have that cash.
Right.
And it was amazing.
And they did, and not only that, but now we have a lot of other people, and you've talked about it before with the Kates, where you started doing it, and now people have contacted you from around the country. They want to come and do it. Yeah. When you create something, and that, you know, the advice to anyone who's thinking about doing a thing, just do the thing. Yeah. Because when you create it, even if it's a spectacular failure, which I've made some spectacular failures.
Same!
Yeah. But you learn a lot from it, and people getting excited that you're about your enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. And if you've screwed up before, the next time you're doing something, you know what to avoid. People pick up on that. They see that you know to avoid that thing, and they respect that you know what you're doing a little bit.
And there is something about like very respectful about like just doing it. And being vulnerable and putting yourself out there. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of people are, like, ready to, like, potentially shit on something because that's just human nature. But there's also something about, like, look at that moxie, you know? Yeah. And I think, usually the final question I asked in the series of 4 people that I've done so far, this series of a few, is, like, what advice you would give someone, or if you had a time machine, what you would do differently. But I think you've answered it a lot of, like, just do it. Yeah. You know? Anything else besides, like, just... do the thing.
Yeah, I mean,
centered myself.
It's very easy to, and whatever. This is again we talked about earlier. It's easy to talk about it and not do it. I've done that myself about a ton of things. Mm-hmm. And you know, when I originally called you, I had a list of different possible things I was going to do, and the only one that really came into fruition, because I had some with other people we talked about, the only one that really came into focus was yours. A part of that's because you're a very driven person, and that helped. But I feel like we both were on the same page. And thank God we went forward and did it, because otherwise we every so often email each other and be like, no, we should really do that thing. And we would never do it.
Yeah, and that drives me bonkers. Because sometimes I do that in my life where I'm like in a loop. And I don't know if it's like, I'm not diagnosed with adult ADD, but I can't do the same thing. Shut up. I can't. Scratch your eyeball. Eyeball scratch.
I said nothing.
But I feel like the whole reason I'm doing this channel, like I can't keep talking about doing something. It drives me insane. Yeah. Because again, that regret thing of like, I don't want to get to the end of my life and have talked about doing something and have accomplished nothing. You know, like, so, and that's one of the reasons that I respect you, Daryl, because I've tried to work with people in the past as well. This guy respects a deadline, does his homework. You know what I mean? You show up, we talk about it, we email something, and you actually do it. And you think that would be a given?
Yeah.
It ain't, you know?
Yeah,
it ain't.
Creative people can be a little,
yeah, which bums me out. Because I feel like artists, because I think stand-up comedians are art, even if it's just fart jokes and like wiener jokes. But I do, and I think you get a bad rap as artists because they're like, oh, they're so flaky, or oh, they're all over the place, or you know. But I think there are other people that like do like work, and I think you're one of those guys. And
it is kind of nice that it's a thing to look as a positive as an artist, that so many people are such just train wrecks of unprofessionalism that it's not that hard to shine. If you, I mean,
just showing up, you're like, whoa, you're amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we had 5 a.m. call times on the weekends with comics. Yeah, and the fact that we were so into it and so on top of it, they showed up. Yeah, everything was professional, and everyone could tell that right off the bat. So I guess if I was giving my advice, this would be my advice. First off, don't take advice from me. I'm a terrible example.
Everyone just stop watching.
Stop watching this. Go find someone else.
Unsubscribe. Just kidding.
Patton Oswalt has a blog, I assume. Go read it. Now, if you still have questions, let me help you out.
Ask Patton.
The one piece of advice would be, whatever you're going to do what you say you will do. Whatever that is. If everyone knows that you will do what you say you'll do, people will work with you. Mm-hmm. If literally all you can do is pick up a bucket and move it across the room, people will have you there because at some point they will need that bucket moved, and they know they can count on you to move the goddamn bucket. Uh-huh. Can I swear? Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So
I try not to say the F word, but that's it.
Fair enough. All right. So and I know that sounds I know it sounds like a cliche, but it is so super true. It's the same in business. It's the same in this. It's the same in comedy. If you have a comic who's brilliant but shows up half the time, you're never going to book them.
Yeah,
because you can't deal with that shit. It doesn't work. And with the filming, all of our comics, but we knew them before. That's why we booked them. That's why we hired them, because we knew they'd be reliable. And reliability isn't the end all, but it's
huge. Like, showing up is gigantic.
Yeah, especially if you're in charge of the project. If you're out there and you think you're going to do a project with someone else, that's great. Make sure it's somebody who has the same work ethic as you, because otherwise you will drive each other out of just so crazy you will kill each other and you will never work together again. Which,
see you never.
Right. After the first weekend of filming, I remember telling my wife, I don't know about this show. Kelsie and I
were kind of scratched my eyeball. Oh, I was very tense on that set. I felt like that's one of my things that I wish I would have, if I had a time machine, go back. Like, I feel like I'm not great at wearing all the hats. So I'm like, okay, I'm the writer, I'm the producer, I gotta do the lunch, and I feel like what's one of the great things about, like, doing this kind of thing is you all work together, but somebody like me, I feel very responsible. So I'm like, I got real tense. And so I'm sure I'm, like, scratching people's eyes on accident, because I'm like, what's the next step? What's the next step? As opposed to just, like, enjoying the moment. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You were good, though, about... And I feel like all of us did, our core production group of Jason, the director, Tim, the AD, production genius.
Yeah.
Kelsie,
so many shouts out to Tim.
Right. Yeah, we cannot say enough about Tim Farrell.
I know.
That man kept us alive.
Which he does get work, but if anybody ever wants to hire an AD, you need to hire Tim Farrell.
Yeah, and I'll
put his Twitter below.
Yeah. No, we're not even joking.
Yeah, he's great.
But when we wanted to have our meltdowns or our freakouts or our conversations, the four of us would get together and have that. So we kept it professional to everyone else. We didn't know what we were doing, but we fooled them. The people thought we knew what we were doing, and that's important.
So fake it all the way, you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Daryl, thanks for doing my channel.
It was fun.
Yeah. Thanks for the gift. This is Megan. So this is the other thing. Daryl's wife, Megan, is a all-star. She did all the graphic design for us, so all the thumbnails, all the posters, the first shots. She did all of that. She did other things too. Oh, the City Life. Yeah. She did the City Life.
The City Life newspaper. That was
her.
It was
the big paper.
It was exciting.
And this, which is so awesome.
Yeah, that would be another piece of advice I would give just to comedians. Maybe not, but comedians, I cannot stress enough. Marry a graphic designer. Your show posters will be so much better. Just do it.
Oh, solid advice. Daryl, we end everything with bye. Are you ready to say bye?
I'm not going to say.
No, come on.
All right, I'll say.
All right, here. So cupcakes going up.
All right,
no pressure, Daryl. Right. This is almost the longest video.
Really?
Should we just sit in silence until it? No, let's not do it now. For 2 minutes, we're gonna beat you, Elise. 9 minutes. We're gonna beat you.
This is gonna be very, very beat poet kind of a thing.
I just snaps. You guys, also, we're almost at the end of April, and I'm gonna have a whole video coming up about if I'm gonna keep doing this or not. So stay tuned.
Bye.
You laughed us out. I love it.
I did.